grief doesn't just touch parents. It ripples through entire families, often settling quietly in the hearts of children and siblings. Their pain is real. Their voices matter. But too often, their grief goes unseen, unspoken, misunderstood. This fourth week of Mental Health Awareness Month, we break that silence. Our guest speakers include Harriet McNeil Moore, grief coach and healing support specialist and mother of Brett Bush; Cindy Nunez, justice reform activist and public speaker and sister of Francisco Nunez; Raven Wilburn, justice advocate and speaker and sister of Roger Fortson. And tonight, we are honored to exclusively feature the Hatley family, courageous voices for generations impacted by loss. Their story is one of legacy, love, and the pain that still lingers. Tiara Elise Hatley, writer and real estate entrepreneur, great-granddaughter of Philip and Willie Mae Hatley; Solomon Hatley, veteran, minister, and entrepreneur, grandson of Philip and Willie Mae Hatley. Hosted by Ashley McKenzie Smith, founder of SayTheirNamesMonuments and mother of Jayla McKenzie. This week's town hall is more than just a conversation. It is a moment of truth, a space for healing, and a call to listen deeply to the silent sufferings we so often miss.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My phone just went out, but my name is Ashley McKenzie, and I'm the mother of Jayla McKenzie, who was killed in Memphis, Tennessee, December 2022. And I want to thank you all for being here with us this week for our mental health town hall. So this is week 4, and the theme tonight is silent suffering, helping children and siblings grieve. Too often, when a life is taken, the world moves on quickly. Debates begin, headlines circulate, and justice is either delayed or denied. But in that chaos, we forget the ones who remain silently broken, the children who still wait for their brother to come home, the sisters who carry guilt, the cousins who carry confusion, and the families who carry a silence that cuts deeper than the words ever could. Tonight, we honor their voices. We are joined by an incredible group of speakers, each with a personal story of grief, loss, and resilience. They are not here as experts in theory. They are experts in survival. Before we begin, I want to take the moment to lift up a special segment we're honored to host tonight, and that's the Hatley Family Untold Stories. So I say that with a smile, you guys, because I've been working with the Hatley family for some months now. So now I feel like I'm part of the Hatley family. There is an upcoming event, but we'll get to their segment in a minute. But it does make me blush a little bit because I feel like they're family. So it's not like we just have some speakers on tonight. I feel like we related in some sort of way. So I am so happy to have them here, Pastor Solomon and Tiara Hatley. And then we also have Raven Wilborn, which is the sister of Roger Fortson. So that is definitely a great honor to have you all here as well. We have Cindy. She is a sister of Francisco Nunez. Did I say that correct? Okay. Yes. I just had to, because I would mess up a name. I had to say that every time. It's always one name that I may not get right that's on the platform. And then we also have my love, Harriet McNeil Moore. We have been talking for a while, since for over a year now. And her son is Brent Bush, who was fatally killed here in Georgia. So she's going to be here, not just speaking as a mother, but she's also going to be our grief coach tonight, our wellness coach. So it's always exciting when someone has experienced a trauma like this and they're able to do something so big as even just speaking out, but definitely turning that pain. But I mean, she already was a nurse, y'all. So let me just throw that out there anyway. So so she already had background, but it feels good to have her here as our grief coach, because we have someone that has actually been affected by police violence. I didn't say brutality this time. It's more because, I throw that up a lot. But police violence, I'm going to get in the habit of saying that. I have to train myself. So let's get started. We're going to take a moment of silence, and that's just going to honor all the loved ones that we've lost to systematic injustice. And we're going to just meditate for a second just to give them the honor and the love that they deserve. So if you guys would just close your eyes, hold your heart, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in and release. All right. So let's get started. So first we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let Cindy go. And Cindy, tell us a little bit about your brother, who he was, what happened to him, and what you're doing now.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And again, just want to say thank you, Ashley, again for allowing us this platform to, share our stories and our thoughts and everything. So thank you. Again, yes, my name is Cindy Nunez. I'm the sister of Francisco Nunez. Francisco was 38 years old at the time that he was taken by us last year of March 2024. He was a brother, he was a son, he was a father, he was an uncle. He was a great friend to many. He meant the world to us. He was a great family man, the best uncle to the kids, and he was that uncle, Unfortunately, his life was cut short last March, 2024. Basically, it was 5 days of a lot of stuff. A lot of he was missing for 5 days. So basically, on March 9th, 2024, he was hanging out with a group of friends, walking his dog, and about a block away from our house. And they were approached by the group was approached by Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We live in Lancaster, California, so it's run by sheriffs out here. And so they were approached. Initially, law enforcement said it was a call for vehicle theft in progress. The vehicle that Francisco was in with his friend was his friend's vehicle, so there was no vehicle in theft. And obviously, because out here, they're known for deputy gang activities. A lot of the law enforcement out here, especially LASD. So when they were approached, the group runs from them. Francisco runs from them. And out of the six individuals, all five were accounted for except Francisco. And shortly hours after that happened, we received phone calls that Francisco had been detained by law enforcement, and he was taken to the station. When we learned about that, we learned that from witnesses that were there that had seen what happened. The individuals around him. That morning we got up, we went to the area apartment complex, trying to see what was going on. We hadn't heard from him, and we didn't see anybody there, nothing. So the next day goes by and so on. I mean, we looked at the LASD inmate locator website to see what was going on, because it was enough him to not call us and let us know that something was going on. So we found that very strange right off the back, and those 24 hours turned into 5 days. And we just figured, eventually he's going to call us. The jail system takes a while to book them and give them a chance to call home. He's never gone missing. We never thought, hey, he's missing or anything like that. And per his, the witness and his individuals, he had been detained by law enforcement. So we knew law enforcement had him. We didn't know for what. We didn't know why. We didn't know anything. And then 5 days later, on March 14th, we get a door on the knock at mom's house, at his home, that he's been found deceased in the alley, the same alley about 250 feet away from the initial contact with law enforcement 5 days prior. Homicide tried to let us know that he had been there for 5 days,
Mm.
which was not true, because we were in that area looking to see what happened. He was not there for 5 days. So fast forward the next day, I was able to meet with the coroner investigator, and that's where I was. Me and my sister were asked to identify him. So we went in and we did that. And if you can imagine, just that alone is trauma. We knew something wasn't right. We knew something was wrong. Um, And I was able to see him, and right away we knew something went wrong. He was beat. He
Mm.
had trauma in his face. He had his body. I already know it. I'm not obviously I'm not educated in forensics, but trauma that's not supposed to be on body, right? So I knew something was wrong. I started asking questions. The investigator said, yeah, absolutely. He was involved in an altercation at some point before. Your brother did not die in that alley. He was placed there and he was moved twice
Mm.
before. So it was right away we knew it was sketchy. Something was wrong. Francisco does not go missing. He's not that kind of guy. And they tried to say that he had overdosed. Francisco would never overdose. So that it was red flags to me right away. And sure enough, we, as a family, mind you, that shock. I don't even remember when I got the call, how I got mom's house. I mean, it was just traumatic. And so we trusted in law enforcement, like you think you will, does. And sure enough, we knew, we hoped that, law enforcement was going to help us get to the bottom of what had really happened. I had a lot of questions. I started asking a lot of questions. And that's when we started noticing the shift of the relationship with law enforcement. I remember a couple of days when I made contact with homicide, I asked them, I pleaded them to please act in good faith and help me find out what had happened to my brother. And they didn't want to tell me it was a homicide. They were trying to convince me that it was an overdose, and we knew that it wasn't. So it started from there. And as I started asking questions and I started to see how they weren't helping me, they didn't want to give me answers. I wasn't getting calls back anymore. I started experiencing harassment by law enforcement for asking about my brother. And it was asking simple stuff as reports. I just wanted to know what happened. We knew he had been detained. And from then, I mean, there's so many questions that we didn't have no answers to. So in the spot that I said, I knew when I spoke to homicide, and they gave me no answers. They didn't want to help me. They became very, very aggressive towards us, harassing and all these things. I knew that justice wasn't coming. I knew something was wrong. So I started, from then on. I mean, my family was in shattered. My family was broken. My family is broken. And I told myself, I either start asking for questions, start asking for answers now, or do I sit there and wait for someone to come and give me, or continue giving me these lies? And I filed a complaint. I started using the sheriff's department complaint system. From day one, it completely failed me. I ended up having meetings with the captain. He told me the station probably changed their story like 3 times before it got to me. First, they never had my brother. Then they did have my brother. Then a deputy let him go. And it was never clear answers. So with that being said, that's where my advocacy began. I knew something was wrong, and I reached out for help out here in the community. And unfortunately, I was very grateful. An organization canceled the contract, reached out back right away, and they took us under our wing, and they said, unfortunately, this is happening. This is something police is there, it's happening. And from there, I like to say, I fell into a we fell into a rabbit hole that just gets deeper and deeper as you go. And from there, I started advocating. It's been a year. We had just this March has been a year. Luckily we were able to, we have a lawyer, we have a legal team, um, all that stuff. From then, I decided, either I sit there and grieve him and cry and plead that someone brings me the justice to our home, um, mom and dad, to our family, or do I go out there and fight for him because they silenced his voice? So I made a vow that if they silenced him, they weren't going to silence me. And that's what initially, my fight, my advocacy, speaking about him, sharing a story. And just this past a couple months ago, In this process, you meet a lot of families, a lot of impacted families across the nation. And we gathered together and we created United Families for Justice, solely based on impacted families, fighting for police accountability, and all that stuff that comes with it. And here we are a year later. I'm fighting for him every day of my life. He's the center of my world. My grief, it comes in waves. It comes, and we're fighting. We're here. We're still fighting. We're strong. We're looking forward to trial someday. And here we are.
Okay. Oh, well, you pretty much have answered all my questions, Cindy, so I could tell you're a speaker. Because you answered so many. I'm over here looking at it like, okay, question 1, you could skip. Question 2, yeah, you probably don't even need to go there. But one of the questions that I do want to ask is, what would justice look like for your family, and how does the advocacy help fill the gaps trauma has left behind?
I'm sorry, Ashley, you cut off.
Okay, I'll say it again. What would justice look like for your family? And how does advocacy help fill the gaps that the trauma has left behind?
So justice for my family, ultimately, for us, looks like holding these deputies accountable that are responsible for his murder. Having them, you know, face trial, found guilty for the brutality, for the violence, for everything that they've done. Have them actually serve time, and actually get to see the faces of these individuals that wear a badge, that are sworn to protect and serve us, and failed him, and failed ultimately my family. And what was the next question? I'm sorry.
It's okay. And how does advocacy, so you advocating for him, how does that fill the gaps of the trauma that's left behind for you and your family?
You know what? It helps a lot, because again, we thought, again, like I said, we thought justice was going to come. We confide in law enforcement to help us, to give us the truth, and they won't give you the truth. They're only here to protect themselves and not the families. So with advocacy, I mean, it just gave me that urge, that motivation, that it was now beyond my brother. It was all these families that are out there silenced, that because of the grief, because of the intimidation, because they're scared to speak out, they won't. I mean, I've met so many families, so many stories, and it's just like, it just gave me more of a movement to push through for these families, mine and all these families that just can't speak right now, and they need people like us out there speaking and advocating for these families, because it didn't just happen to me. It's happening all over the world.
Right, right, right. So, what can people do to support families like yours and mine and other families that are experiencing police brutality or just systematic injustice? What could they do to support us, beyond just offering their condolences? Because we get that a lot. I'm so sorry. A lot of people don't know what to say or what to do, and so I've got to the point where it's like, you don't even, if you don't have nothing else to say, just don't say it no more, because it's almost like you don't know what do you tell a family. It's that's one of those things that it's like, I want to say something to you and I want to tell you I'm sorry, but I don't know really what to say because I haven't walked those shoes before, or they just haven't experienced it. And trauma and death is just one of those things that nobody has any words to say for. It doesn't matter if it's someone that has passed from um just in their sleep or from sickness, or it's just one of those things that people don't know what to say. So what could people do beyond just giving condolences, to support families like us? What's your opinion? What do you think they can do?
Honestly, Ashley, that's a great question. I think that when people ask that, I think it's truly important to listen to our stories, to share our stories, when you see events, try to show up. And if you can't, share the post, share the story. I have, we have a lot of our families have petitions, take a moment to sign that petition. If we're asking for, again, events, and you have the time, it's lovely to to have, these strangers show up and support us. And even if it's for 5 minutes, even if you can honk and honk your horn, and we appreciate it. Like, again, share our stories, like us, follow us, listen to us. I know it's very tough. I know, Ashley, you can relate. When we talk about law enforcement, a lot of people back away from us
Yes.
because we're speaking about law enforcement.
Yes.
And law enforcement is held at a very different standard, and it's always, well, what did your loved one do? What did and
Yeah.
it's very disrespectful. It's very hard to hear that, and that's the world we live in. And we just want people to listen to our stories, to understand that nobody deserves to die at the hands of law enforcement, no matter what.
Exactly.
They're not above the law. And educate yourselves on police violence, police brutality. Our stories, educate. This is real. It's become an epidemic. It's a way of life now.
It is.
And don't be so self-centered when you hear our stories. This is real. These are our stories. We're our loved ones. Share our story. It doesn't take money. It doesn't take anything. Just share our stories. Support us. Show up to events. If Ashley, like your lives, if people can jump on the lives, support, listen to our stories, listen to your stories, to your movement, to your work. That means everything to us. That's how everybody can help us.
Yes, I agree. I know a lot of times when I go do like protests and rallies, and I'll be out there with Mr. Hill, Jimmy Hill. That's Jimmy Atkinson's father here in Atlanta. He died here from police brutality, and a lot of times when we're holding signs like near these government buildings, and these are the same people that are supposed to be changing laws and doing all this stuff to support us, they look at us funny. They
Hmm.
turn their eye, or they're just, it's just real nasty. And it's got to the point now I don't even want to go down there and hold my son's sign in a place that I should feel comfortable in holding it, because you're making the laws for us. So you're supposed to be representing us. And it's almost like it's a slap in our face, because you guys are in these offices doing nothing, absolutely nothing. And when you're turning your face and your nose up to us as we're trying to get justice for our loved ones, it is it's like a stab in the heart, a stab in the back, a stab in the foot. Because a lot of us are out here advocating for just not one, just not our loved ones, but lots of loved ones. And so when we get out here, it takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot mentally to get out here and do this. It takes a lot from us mentally, emotionally, financially. I mean, we're not rich. A lot of the families that are out here that's spending lots of money in this movement, we don't have no trust funds that's gonna give us no money to do this stuff. We out here because we want a change.
Yeah.
And so if anybody's out here that's listening, that's a politician, please talk to your people. Just it's okay. Give us a hug. Just say you see us. Let us know that you are watching and that you are going to support us. That's all we're asking. We're not asking you to make a change overnight. We know it can't happen. We're not asking for that, but we're asking for you to hold our hands and let's do this together. So thank you so much, Cindy. I'm going to go ahead and go to Raven. Raven is Roger Fortson's sister. I'm not going to say who Roger Fortson is. A lot of people already know. I'm going to let Raven talk about her brother, give her spotlight. But I have met Roger Fortson's mom, Mika. She's amazing. And yeah, he just got a proclamation not too long ago from Atlanta. So that was really exciting to be able to attend. So Raven, go ahead and tell us about your brother and who you are, girl.
Okay. So Roger, he was in the Air Force. He's a senior airman. He was murdered in his apartment due to a call of domestic disturbance, but he was in the apartment by himself. He was playing the game, and the officer came to his door. And when Roger opened the door, well, let me take it back a little bit. The officer came to his door, and he didn't identify himself. When he did identify himself, he was like out of the way of the peephole, so Roger could not see who the person is. And like anybody, if somebody's at your door knocking on the door, they're not saying who they are, you can't see them, you might be concerned as to who is at your door. And being in the military, he was a gunner for the Air Force, so he got his gun. But the thing is, Roger's gun was in his right hand, and he's left-handed. So, I don't think he had any plans of using it, because he wasn't in his dominant hand. It was in the hand that he would use. But when he opened the door, because he had the gun in his hand, pointed at the ground, not pointed at the officer, not pointed towards anybody. It was pointed at the ground. He was shot 6 times within 2 seconds of him opening the door. It wasn't until he was laying on the ground that the officer told him to drop the gun, and he told him it's over there. Roger was, as a person, he was just really like full of life. He was always laughing, always had a joke. Even if he wasn't in the best mood, he was always trying to cheer people up. He was like the person that I would call and he would be like, don't worry about it, it's gonna be okay. So that's who he was to me. I feel like he was like that to everyone though. I know Mika, for her, he was like her everything. He was like the person that he took care of her. Like, that was who she called for everything. So, what was the other question, Ashley? I'm sorry.
Well, so we can start on I wanted to know a little bit about you, but you already said you're his sister. I will say, you guys, when I went to Roger Fortson's funeral, I would say that was one of the most. I cried everywhere I go, y'all. I'm a big old baby, so yeah, I cry everywhere I go. I cried at his funeral. I also cried at his proclamation. And one of the reasons that Roger Fortson death was so hard for me is because a lot of times we see civilians that are dying from police brutality. That's not to say that other officers or other airmen or whoever that served the country have not, died from police brutality. But it touched me because he was so young, and he served our country. And it's like, if you can do this to someone that served your country, then how do you think we feel about the ones who have not served our country? We know you don't care about them. So it hit me really, really hard because he was so young and he did what he did. He was doing what he enjoyed. Like, if you look at the pictures on his mom page, you see nothing but smiles from him. And I'm about to cry now just thinking about it. I told you this, he's a very touchy subject for me, and he's not even my son. But you see his smile, you see that he did what he wanted to. He was one that got out of a community and did exactly what he wanted to do. And so many kids get stuck in the community that they're in, and they're just stuck, it's just cycling around in that environment. And that was not the case for him. So it hurts. It really does. It's very sad. And the fact that Mika even has to fight for justice the way she does in that case for her son is a slap in everybody in America's face. And if you don't support anybody, you need to support your veterans. You need to support everyone that's out here fighting for your country, that is keeping us alive from other people that's trying to get us. So it hurts. My grandfather was a veteran. Is a veteran. My uncle is a veteran. So we have a lot of people. My cousins. I come from a background of people who served, and that's why it hurts so bad. It's just because it's like, that's family. It's just certain things you don't do. And those right there, I mean, everybody is off limits, but the ones that serve the country, that put their lives out every day to make sure that we're safe, those people are definitely off. You don't touch those. You just don't do that. And yeah, girl, Raven, You're gonna have me
So
on here
what you were saying,
crying.
Ashley.
Huh?
No, but to what you were saying, like Roger was always so proud of,
Yeah.
especially when he got deployed and he came back from Kuwait. He was so proud to be like, oh, you know what I did for this country? You know, like, I'm a veteran. I did this. And like, I used to like kind of mess with him about it. I'd be like, you still a baby, like, you know, but he was like, I'm a grown man. Like, I've been to this country, I did this. And so it's just like for him to come back and he survived being out there and all the things he's seen and had to go through, and to come here and to lose his life is just crazy to me.
It is. It is. Oh my goodness. Whew. Okay. So I have a question. What is one of the hardest part about being a sibling advocate while you're still grieving? Because his death is still new. So you're out here fighting, trying to get justice and all that. What is it? What is the turmoil? What are you dealing with as you're out here doing that and it's still so fresh? And you haven't even got past the grieving stage.
Yeah, I feel like I just try to take a day at a time. Like, I have my days where it's like, it's hard because it's like, you can't really completely grieve him because I'm still in this process. I'm still accepting, like, okay, I can't call him. Or like, I tried to call him not too long ago, and like, I was like, I text Mika, like, I just tried to call him and the phone rang and I was freaked out. Like, you know, it's like stuff like that. Like, I'm still going through this whole process and then having to speak up about it. Sometimes I don't have the words to say, or I don't know what to say. I'm still figuring out how I feel going through this whole thing. Like, there was a period of time where like I didn't want to look at his pictures, and it wasn't because I don't want to see what my brother looks like or anything like that. It's just like, it's the reality. He's not here. Like, this is all I have is a picture. So it took me a minute to like just get back to, okay, I could look at his pictures and stuff like that, and just going through that process, but still having to speak up and go to these events, you know, like you brought up. Like, it's hard, especially like, it's not cheap. Like, paying for these plane tickets, going to all these events, it's a struggle. But it's like, we have to do it, because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody's going to care.
Right. So how has his death and the trauma of his death shaped the way you view justice and accountability?
I would say that, I don't know, as something I cannot say I probably didn't think much about. It's like the justice system, or like I knew, like, okay, it's unfair, like things that, you know, you see. But when you're really put in a position and you're like hoping that the system is going to work, and then it doesn't work, and then you're like, okay, well, now what do I do? And you don't know who to go to, and people really don't want to help you, and you realize like it's really like a uphill battle. And having to be in this position, it made me not only have more empathy to like people that I've seen before me, because like I've said this before at I think another event, is like, when you see stuff on the news or stuff, you be like, oh, it's them. Like, you don't think like this could happen to you or this could happen, but it could really happen to anybody. And to realize that like this is the battle that people face. Like, it's not just a battle I face. Like, even with things that like people who know my situation, just being out, I've had people talk to me and tell me about their family members that didn't necessarily die from police brutality, but they still had an uphill battle when it came to the DA or to police and things like that. So it's like, it's everybody's battle. Everybody should be worried about our justice system, because it's not right.
Right. And I asked that question because a lot of us, we always say we want justice, and justice will look different from everybody. I say that all the time. So what I expect from justice for my son's case may not be the same from what somebody else expects from theirs. And it's also, when we're thinking or posting and saying what justice looks like to us, we have to take in consideration that everybody's idea of justice looks different, and there's no wrong or right? Because when we put a lot of things out there to say, and I've done it too, because my mind frame is it took me for us to have this town hall for me to understand that, okay, you got to be careful with what you're saying justice should look like, because I'm saying what it looks like for me, in my opinion. And it's offensive to some when they may not agree with what my justice looks like for my son. So that's why I asked you, what does justice justice and accountability look like, because I want people to understand that your idea may not be the same as another family, but that does not mean they're hurting. I mean, that they're not hurting, or they're not grieving, or they don't want justice. It's just going to look different. So that's why I asked that, because pain is pain, you guys. Trauma is trauma. Grief is grief, and it's going to look different from everybody. So what are you doing for yourself? What does your self-care look like, Raven? As you're getting through this, like for me, one of my self-care tools is, and I said this on the last town hall, was that I bought a Build-A-Bear, and I put Jalen used to rap, so I put the little button in there, and it'll say, I love you, mama. I love you, mama. I'm gonna buy you an Audi. And so that was like one of the lyrics from his song. And it just, that part that said, I love you, it keeps me going. It pushes me, because, and that's my way of one of my coping methods, because I probably be looking crazy. Thank God I have 10 on my car, because honey, Jalen be sitting in the front seat riding with his mama, that little red teddy bear. I take that red teddy bear everywhere, because Jalen was my rider. Everywhere I went, he would go with me. I make him go with me. Even if it was to the store, he'd be like, I don't want to go. And he'll just sit in the hot sun and burn up. And I'm like, do you want the keys to cut on the car? But I would take him everywhere I go. I was at my brother's house, and he put the cover on the bear. So that's been helping us. When the earthquake happened about 2 weeks ago, right before Mother's Day weekend, and the bear fell off the couch, and my niece comes in and say, why is Jalen on the floor? And I'm like, I don't know how he got down there. I don't know why he on the floor. So my whole family knows who Jalen is. Okay. So that's been working for me, because I can hear his voice. So you guys, if you have a heartbeat, or if you have a video that you can record the sound from, get you a Build-A-Bear, because you can hear your child's voice or your loved one's voice, if that is something that can work for you. So I don't mean to take your spotlight, but what's your self-care?
For me, I would say, like, I just take the time to myself to, like, really think, like, and when I feel some type of way, I don't just try to push it off, because that's what I was doing at first. Like, I would just, like, okay, try to push it out, like, but now I just sit in it, and I just be like, okay, right now I miss my brother. Why do I miss my brother? Like, like, what made me feel like that? On May 3rd, it was a year of his passing, and so I went to the beach, and I put, like, flowers in the ocean for him, and I felt like that was, like, good for me, because it was just, like, it was only me. I was the only person that was there, and so I was like, I just hung out with him. I felt like, so that was cool.
So sweet. Yeah, I love water too, so that would have been good for me. Water has always been a reset. I feel like when I struggle, Jalen will do some real spiritual stuff, and he just start cutting on water, and I'm like, okay, he's telling me to chill out, because that's how I reset, is with water. I always say I'm this mermaid that can't swim. So I was supposed to be in the water, but unfortunately, I don't know how to swim, so I'm not gonna go too far in the water. But I love water. So one more question for you. What would you say to other siblings who feel their voice doesn't matter in the aftermath of their loss?
I would say that your voice matters. Even if you feel like, okay, it doesn't matter to all of these people, at the end of the day, you know who you were to your sibling, you know who they were to you, so your voice will always matter. You know what they, like, who they were as a person. Like, I know one thing that, like, irritated me so much when Roger passed was, like, people had, like, opinions. Everybody had something to say, and it was like, you don't even know him. How do you know what he was thinking, or what decision he was making? You have no idea. So I feel like just knowing the relationship that you have with your sibling, I feel like that's enough voice, no matter what.
Awesome. Yes. I never lost a sibling. And I can't imagine that, because me and my brothers and sisters, we're really, really close. Like, we're super close. Me and my brother are probably the closest. I don't know if he leaves me, they're gonna have to take me with him. They got to put me right on in there. I don't know if I can take another loss to Jalen and then him. It just would not work, because we are that close. When Jalen passed, I yelled to my husband. I said, call my brother. I ain't say call my mama. I ain't say call nobody. Call my brother. Because I just knew that first, he coming like in a flash. Like he's not. It ain't gonna take him nothing but a second to get there. And then second, he can think for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I trust him so much. We're so close that he'll be like, okay, Ashley, calm down. Let's do this or let's do that. Because at that point, I can't think. I can't process nothing. No telling what crazy thing I was gonna do. So I'm just really grateful for an amazing support system. Because I don't know what I would have done or where I would be today, honestly, without my support, my friends, my family, and even a new support system with the impacted families that I've gained. Because it ain't nothing like somebody knowing what you're going through and being able to understand the pain and the trauma that you're dealing with. Because a lot of people that hasn't walked the walk, they don't understand. I'm gonna keep saying that. They're not gonna understand people. We could try to make them understand all day. They don't get it. So you have to get in these grief circles that are with other impacted people to help you get out of those slumps or out of those areas where you just feel like shutting down. Those are going to be the ones that you run to because they know what it feels like. And they have great ideas on what may have got them past one area or one phase of the trauma, especially when you're new to it because you don't know what to do. So we're getting ready to go into an amazing part, and that is the Hatley family. So I'm not gonna take up all their time, but you guys. So what is civil rights and restore? I don't know. It's CRRJ. Okay, I'm from the South. I can't say anything right. But this report is about Philip Hatley, and yes, thank you. And it's called Silent Archives and Silent Genealogies by Elena, Northeastern University School of Law.
Yeah.
And this was spring 2024 paper that she did. When I say it is an amazing write-up, you guys, when I say she gets all the kudos in the world, and I just read it this week, and I wasn't even going to bring it, but let me tell you what happened. Solomon said, Pastor Solomon said, did you read the report? And I was like, no, I haven't read it yet, but I heard about it. So he sent it to me, and I literally stopped what I was doing to read it because I've been hearing great things about it. I just haven't read. I didn't have it, and I'm sure they put the links in it, but I'm horrible with going through my emails, so I'm not gonna say that they didn't give it to me. I just had not read it, and I don't read emails. I'm horrible. So this report, you guys, we're going to post the link so you guys can read it. I'm not going to really talk about what it's about. I'm going to let the Hatley family talk about their family in the paper and all that good stuff. Then we're going to ask them some amazing questions because they're more of our generational trauma, which I really want people to listen to because we don't understand generational trauma. And we're talking about years of trauma that is in your DNA, you guys. It shows how you do things, why you do things. And we don't do enough research to understand what that means. So say, for instance, you say, hey, I love water. Your family could have been by the water, so there's certain things and certain ways that you move that you may not understand that you do certain things, and why you do it is because of generation. It's because of DNA. It was planted in you. So we're going to talk about generational trauma with the Hatley family. So let's go. Well, we're supposed to do ladies first. So, but we're going to do ladies first. We're going to do it right. So we're going to bring on Tierra Hatley. She is the great granddaughter, you guys, of Philip and Willie Mae Hatley. Again, Philip Hatley, he was killed by the police in Memphis, Tennessee. So yes, Tierra, come on, let's go, girl.
All right.
All right, nice to see everyone. And Miss Ashley, I'm very, very grateful for all the work you're doing in general.
Thank you.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It really is a lot. Starting a platform, but doing the work individually, advocating for your own self, your own family, your own whoever it is that you're advocating for, even if they're not directly a relative, because that's really the perspective that I would come from. You know, I remember 2020 and seeing all the chaos and seeing everybody on the streets, and I was like, I want to go. It wasn't my time at that time period. It was like, all right, I'll sit this one out. However, in 2024, everything got brought up for our family, and I was like, oh, because my dad had always had this ominous story, and you have talked to our family and everything, and my dad and my uncle, they can tend to be long-winded, and whenever this topic would come up, it's like, oh, we have 2 sentences and I'm going to walk away now. And I'm like, that does not sound like my dad. I don't know what's going on here. So it was not something that we got to talk about a whole lot. Then before 2024, actually, my dad sent me a picture of my grandfather, and my grandfather is Eugene. His nickname was Genie. They used to call him Genie Baby. And so once I started putting some things together, it's like, a lot of people had their spiritual awakening around, because I had mine several years ago. So then by the time 2020, 2021 came, a lot of people were like being more spiritual and stuff. And then come to find out my granddad's nickname was Genie. I'm like, okay, that's T. And so being able to experience those things, like the generational trauma follows, but also the generational blessings, the generational traits, the generational talents. And that's what I'm actually writing about. So in my essay work, Better Than Reparations, I feel like this is better than reparations. The research that CRRJ did, because it's like, it's intimidating. It's like 22 pages long. And I was like, I got time. And so I took my time, got it printed out, read it. And I was like, wow, okay. Being able to actually know the full story. Because, I got teary-eyed when Raven was sharing her story about Roger. Because I'm like, these folks really do not care. They don't care. It doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter how many degrees. It doesn't matter who served for what. It doesn't matter nothing. If you have a certain skin pigment and you come off a certain way, then boom, that's it. If you have certain characteristics and certain traits that you just have, you're born with them. They don't know your personality. They don't know what you're doing. And if anything, you can track, if a person has an address, you can track their track record. You know who that person is before you pull up. As a police officer, you know exactly who you're dealing with before you pull up. So it's kind of scary because my great grandfather was also killed in his home. So for police officers to come up to somebody and harm them, we're not out, we're not causing a ruckus, we're not doing something to cause a scene or have a problem. They're coming up to the place and offing our people. It's like, what is going on here? So that's how, I am relating to the situation as a great grandchild, because, even with my grandfather, Eugene, I did not get to know him as a person. He passed away before I was born. And so having these situations with these 2 individuals, because my father and my uncle are very, very involved with our family reunions, not the Hatley family reunions, but on our maternal, my great grandmother on that side, they're spearheading everything with the family. So I'm constantly seeing my dad and my uncle always talking to our family members, always having these long stories, always being able to connect to our relatives in a particular type of way. But when it came to our family line and the ones that we directly come from, they didn't have much to say. So it was like, what is this? So now having this story, and when I tell you silent archives and silent genealogies, oh my goodness. So coming to find out, it was all up in the media. The court was seen. Everyone went to court. There was litigation. And then not having local justice. And then for my great-great uncle, his name was James, he wrote a letter to the president. He wrote a letter to Franklin Roosevelt. And he got a reply. They basically said that's a local thing and the federal government can't really do much about it. But it's like, man, it's a veteran. So what are you even talking about? The federal government can't do nothing. What are y'all talking about? So, just seeing how it was that big a deal. The community helped and raised money. Louis O. Swingler and Matthew Thornton, they were a big part of it as well. That's mentioned in the paper too. And so our family, you know, the community came and raised money for our people. And so that, all the gratitude for that. At the same time, our people shouldn't have to do those things. It's nice. It was a very, very nice gesture, but that should have been added on top of the original justice that's owed. It's actually owed to us. And so, yeah, that is the story. That is it from my perspective. And yeah, I'm ready for any questions.
So, what emotional or spiritual weight have you carried from the silent story of your grandfather, your great grandfather, Philip Hadley?
Unknowingly, I've always had this thing, not specifically with police officers, but activism. So I've been involved in things like activism for a few years now. And my dad has been his whole life. So I really take my inspiration from him of what can I do for Black people in particular, because we're already slave descendants and most of us did not get reparations. So that was already an issue. And that's where my entrepreneur story kind of shifted, where I took my experience as an entrepreneur and decided to start sharing it with other people so that we can learn the back door ins and outs of why things are set up a certain way and how to transmute that. And so the feelings of, I've always been an activist. I've always wanted my people to do better because I'm really tired of seeing us suffering in general without police harm. Outside of that, being profiled unfairly, even outside of that, I've always wanted to see my people do better. And so that pain, I didn't know where it was coming from because I just found out what was going on last year. And so now it's been relieved. I have a really, really big relief.
Do you think that it impacted your sense of identity unknowingly?
100%.
Yeah. In what ways?
People
I know that question is like, whoa. And the reason why I'm asking y'all will understand a little bit later on why I asked her this. But so yeah, so the Hadley family gonna get the harder questions. I'm just gonna be honest, because it's just gonna be like that tonight. I'm sorry. And they didn't know the questions beforehand. I said that we was gonna have a meeting to talk about the questions before, but I'm putting them on the spot intentionally because I want people to understand generational trauma. Like if I would have told them the questions ahead of time, they would have been prepped for it, and then we wouldn't have really got the feel or the true understanding of how generational traumas affect us today in our everyday lives. So T, don't be crying on here. You got it.
I was right. I was prepared, and then she started.
It's okay. It's okay. We here. It's the perfect place. It's the perfect place because people have to see it. They have to understand it, and the best way for people to understand how we're really affected is by seeing it. Sometimes we close ourselves up, and they see us always being so strong. And they forget that we're still human and we're not machines. We just are put in a certain position where we have to adjust because there's something that's happening at that moment. But then we go back. We still cry years and years and years. It's just the way it is. But how has it affected your identity unknowingly? Because you didn't know. You didn't know about this until last year. So you wouldn't know anything until this, and we're gonna talk about your other stuff in a minute. But go ahead, answer the question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Unknowingly, people have always treated me a little different, and I didn't understand why. And once I got deeper into my spiritual practices, I was like, oh, I understand better now. What I do is I practice ancestor veneration now because I didn't know that these things would. I didn't know. So what I started doing was meditating, praying. I would talk to God, of course. I would read my Bible and I would learn things from the lineage of Abraham. And it's like, that's a long time ago. And I just need to know like a couple of generations back, like what's going on with me? Like, why is my life this way? And so I learned that I do connect to people in a different type of way. And so I would have these conversations with my dad and it'd be able to click for me. I'd just be like, yeah, I get it. I understand. And I didn't really know why I understood these things. And having conversations with other people, it would be a different type of perspective. And so then once I got to learn this information, I'm like, oh, I'm living my ancestors right now. They wanted me to do this. And I did not know that until I started practicing intentionally to be able to know these things. And it's like, okay, so back in 2023, I was intentionally doing my spiritual work for my father's lineage. And I didn't know this would happen. I was just like, you know, deep in meditation, like I have my crystals right here. This is a rose quartz, and it's associated with the heart chakra. And I love the theme with the pink. I was like, it's big heart chakra energy. I love it. And this is green. Green is also associated with the heart chakra. So I'd be doing this stuff it was a whole year. And then my dad's like, hey, so we got some information on your great grandparents. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And here we are a year later. I'm like, this is way more than I expected.
Yes. So if you guys haven't tapped into your chakras, chakras has a lot to do with your emotions, your health, all of that. So definitely when you're grieving, you want to work on grounding yourself. You want to work on your throat chakra. You want to work on, because you're going to say some stuff that's going to hurt some feelings. And so the throat chakra is one that will help you with that area. Your heart chakra is one area that's going to help you with that love piece, that forgiveness and things like that. Your root chakra is what's going to get you started. That's your grounding. You want to start there. And that's that's red. A lot of times when you're grieving, it has a lot to do with a lot of your organs. They're affected emotionally as well. So your sacra, that's another one where you want to do with your arts. That's your journaling and things like that. So you guys, if you have not tapped into chakras, my son put me on this. Jalen is the one that put me on my chakras. He's the one that say, oh no, we're not getting no shots. We're gonna do black seed oil. Mama, we need to go stand in the sun so you can get the vitamin D to open up your third eye. So that he really helped me. I was already getting on a spiritual journey, but he really put me on that spiritual journey. And when I say, once you start getting on that journey, it's going to relieve a lot. It's going to help you. I promise it will. And you'll see a lot of your health ailments will go away as well. Another thing is at night when you're getting ready to go to sleep, listen to the ocean. Listen to the whales. Those megahertz are certain things that help with grief as well as different ailments in your body as well. So if y'all need some help with that, we have some spiritual folks that can help you get aligned. I will say it's baby steps. Take one step at a time and to fix one area so that you can see the results. And it could be as just journaling, just writing things down. If you have something in your dream, get up and write it down, because it may mean something some days later. You may not understand at that moment, but a lot of times we're all connected. It's in our DNA, you guys. DNA. We are connected. So being spiritual is a part of your nature. That's where you come from. So use the tools that were given to you. Use outdoors. If you have animals and pets, they're spiritual too. Just like if you have those animals and they're able to tell you, oh, you're getting ready to have a stroke or whatever, you think they're just doing it just because? It's because they have a spiritual level to themselves as well. So it's the same thing as us being able to do things that we didn't know we could do, because we just haven't tapped into that side yet. So we're gonna get into why T wrote this. Wrote the what is it a book?
I did write a book.
Okay, so it Better Than Reparations. She's gonna tell us what inspired her to write that. And is it related to her trauma? So she's gonna tell us a little bit about that. When I say Tierra does it all, y'all, she plans events, she writes, she's a speaker, she does everything. So come on, tell us about Better Than Reparations.
I appreciate you so much. So, yes, I am a published author now. Better Than Reparations is not quite published yet. So my works for education, I do have my ebooks, and then this is my physical copy book that people can buy. And so that's the work that I was doing in the real estate part. Better the Reparation started after I had started my private equity and research firm. And so the purpose of that on my website, which is marineflowblog.com, I started that website after I realized a lot of things. Everything that Miss Ashley was just talking about as far as understanding the spiritual path, getting aligned, and doing all those things properly, you can go on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or anywhere, type in chakras, and you'll find like a chart. You'll find a person talking about some things. You'll find graphs and stuff like that. And it's simple to get started.
Yeah.
When it comes to the depths of what it takes to really get work done, I realized there's like a cap to what people were sharing online. And so I have a platform where I share YouTube videos and things like that, but it got weird. So it's like I got clout, but I wasn't doing it for clout. It's not for my own personal recognition. I really wanted people to learn and evolve. And once I saw that people were not learning and evolving after a certain point, I said, okay, I'm going to retire the YouTube channel and I'll go more professional with it. So I decided to start writing. So I have been writing about several things from a spiritual perspective. So it was like private equity. What does that have to do with spirituality? Well, when you take it into account that there's a pyramid on the back of the US dollar with an all-seeing eye on it, just Google that and it'll take you down a whole rabbit hole. Everything spiritual, especially in this country. And so this essay is called Better the Reparations, Solving of a Mystery Haunting an American Bloodline. And I named it that specifically because it was haunting our bloodline. Because not being able to hear my dad talk, like my dad can easily speak about an hour and a half about any topic. So if he's spending less than 5 minutes talking about something, I'm like, yeah, this is not normal. This is not okay. And so I'm really watching him live his best life right now. He's like, I finally got the answers. I'm like, he's really happy. He just turned 58, by the way. And I feel great because we got him a birthday gift. Me and all my siblings got together, got him birthday gifts. So it's like, I'm really adulting right now. And being able to see how happy he is to finally have the answers that he's been searching for since before I was born. I'm 27. He's been doing this work since before I was born, as far as activism, wanting to get to know things about our family in general, and then what is going on with Black people in America. And so one of the things that Raven was speaking on earlier, I said, this is on page 3. So what if hardship was caused directly by the hands of the government? What if the citizen was never an unpaid slave? What if the citizen was educated, registered to vote, and even fought in the army and became a U.S. veteran? What happens when a government official is killed by other government officials due to racism? Does this mean anything? No, nothing. Nothing happened in that time to officially ensue justice for Philip Hatley, a law-abiding, registered to vote U.S. veteran. And it's like, that's crazy because I didn't say Black person. I just listed off who he was as a person. And if Black was not there, this would not be, I wouldn't have to do this. But because he was a Black man, all this is necessary. These platforms are necessary. These writings are necessary. And like you said, too, with journaling, I would like to help anybody who would like to get their story out there. So if you would like any pieces, we can, you can hit me up, marineflowblog.com. The work that you do for your own self, you keep the documents, you write in your journals, you keep a log. So your story, not only, you don't necessarily have to start a huge, big platform and help all thousands of people. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can help your family though. Had that happen within the Hatley family bloodline, we wouldn't necessarily need this because it would have been documented for us to at least know what happened. But that's where trauma comes in. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to deal with it. It hurts too much. It's too frustrating. We were done wrong. Of course, we were done wrong. And the death itself was bad enough. And then to go all the way to the federal level and still get nothing. Yeah, right. I can only imagine how much hurt and pain that was. And so nobody wanted to talk about it. But that's why it's even more important to talk about it. And even if it's not a discussion where you're having it once a year or you know, every couple of years or something. At least it's there. So if anyone has any questions, it's like, okay, yeah, we have that in the family journal. You know, everything's digital now, but I really like print stuff. We have it in the family journal. We have a specific scrapbook for this person because we want to make sure that their story is preserved properly. And that's where CRJ and different organizations come in, because this archive work is so necessary and so important. If it wasn't for it, we wouldn't even have known what happened.
Exactly. And so that's we're getting ready to go to Pastor Solomon in a second. But you guys, we do know that a lot of the older generations they're gone. And the younger generations are not doing a very good job in capturing those stories that you can pass on. So you have to think about it when the kids are asking you questions about their grandma, their granddaddy, and we not writing nothing down because I'm finna put my mama on blast. I could do that because she my mama. But I ask my mama stuff and she be like, I don't remember. So I'm like, I don't even have nothing to write sometimes. And then it has to take something to happen for her to be like, oh yeah, I remember this or I remember that. And you guys, that has something to do with generational trauma.
Yes.
And those little simple things like that is what that means. When people can't remember what happened or they don't talk about their past, like Tiara said, and we don't have stories that we can pass on, it's because something has happened. And so what they've done, they have blocked that out. And now we don't have stories to pass on because the person who was a storyteller may be gone now. Because, you know, you have one family member, you're going to have some family members that can tell you everything that happened. Like my uncle is one, my great-grandma, Grandma Jerry, we just buried Grandma Jerry. And so now we're going to have to use the next generation, which is my mom's generation, her brother and my aunts, and hope that they remember enough that we can document, because back in the day they used to have a Bible that you could go in. I remember as a little girl, it was a Bible on the table, and then all these stories was in there, and then we had the whole family tree, because I've always loved history. So I've always been the one that was like, I'm not gonna say stealing, but creeping the stuff. I'll probably get in trouble with my family later, but I was always that one that liked to take little family trinkets and stuff because I like to remember my past, because I don't really remember too much because of generational trauma. I lost my dad at a very young age, so I don't remember a lot of stuff. I blocked out a whole lot. But I want you guys to know that we're talking about Philip Hatley for the folks that's just coming on. He was killed. He was taken from his house and killed by Memphis Police Department on January 22nd, 1939, 38. What is it?
39.
39. Okay, so I did get it right. So just to show you how long ago this happened, and it took for CRRJ to do some research and get this report out. And now the Hatley family know a little bit more about what's going on. So you guys, write your history down. Take notes. Talk to your elders so that it doesn't have to be CRRJ or any type of organization that have to go backtrack and figure out what's going on with your history. You would know it yourself. You should want to know your history. That should make you feel good to know who you are and where you come from and your people's struggle, their challenges, because that's your story. That's your DNA. So now we're going to bring on Pastor Solomon Hatley.
All right.
He has the floor. So tell us something.
All righty.
Okay.
Woo! Thanks a lot, Miss Ashley.
You're welcome.
You know this was a divine appointed time, right? Because we spent all those months as we have been working and planning for the Say Their Name in Memphis.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to talk about grief because and spirituality, because grief, no matter who you talk to, whether it be in the church or, of course, a counseling coach or whoever, you got to get deliverance one way or another, okay? Because if you don't, like they say, that silence, it will take you out.
It will.
So I got on fire when I heard Say Their Name, number one. And hopefully what I'm about to say to you all will bring the pieces together. Okay. Number one, we have to go back and look at the era in which we are in. We're in with Philip Hatley and why CRRJ wrote what they wrote in their archives. Okay. Number one, you in the Jim Crow era. You're talking about where black men, black women, or whoever could be mutilated, hung, burned right in front of the public. Okay. Taking picture, white. Okay. Now we got to get out of this guilt trip because number one, guilt is not of God. Okay. So we have to stand up, say their name, tell the story the way it went, and then come back and say, how far have we gone? Philip Hatley has been gone 86 years.
That's right.
How far have we really gone? See, now we getting down to the nitty gritty. Why couldn't we do that? Well, Dr. Margaret Burnham is an African American woman whose dad was ran out of the South by Bull Connors in Selma, Alabama area. Okay, so she would naturally be an advocate for this situation. Okay, but to have an African American woman birth forth this archive and bring this knowledge to me. Okay, I'm gonna take it personal a little bit because when Elena Curran called and told me what was going on, she was hesitant. Okay, because number one, black folks don't talk like that. Okay, we very secretive. But when she talked, I said, "Go ahead, talk to me." And so when she began to talk to me, I began to feel this sense of relief. Now, why did I start feeling this sense of relief? 20 years ago, I met with a woman concerning deliverance. And she prayed and we prayed and we sat there and she prayed. And then she began to say, this is what I see. I see an African running through the woods. Okay? He's just running. And the reason he's running is because he's the scapegoat. There's a situation that went on that made him the scapegoat. And I'm sitting there going, what does she mean? He says he's an African. He's a dark-skinned guy. I can't tell you who exactly, but he's running in the woods. But he is the scapegoat. Today, we have studied the newspaper clippings. We have looked at everything. He was the scapegoat because in that article, Officer McElroy took a gentleman named Hammer Trailer behind the squad car, talked to him why Officer Burnham had the gun on my grandfather and they had beat him. Okay? So he was the scapegoat. Okay? Now, the reason I made that prevalent to you is because we're still dealing with some of the same situations. They say the officers were drunk. Okay? You're coming under an era in which Boss Crump, get this understood, America. Memphis was a unique city even in the Jim Crow era, okay? You still had a 5-man commission, the firemen, the police commission, whoever, but Trump ran that city for years in that era. Soon as he found out that those policemen had terrorized that neighborhood and killed my grandfather, he sent the chief of police personally to go get him. Why? Because the constituents were his blacks. They voted for him. Memphis at the time was the leading Republican city in the country. We're dealing with the Jim Crow era. Much of the Jim Crow era is still located in the police department. You're listening to the Jim Crow era from the president. You just got to know your frame of reference as to what you're listening to. It's like reading the Bible. What is your frame of reference? It's like your spiritual life. What is your frame of reference as to why you're doing and saying what you're saying? Are you following? Now, I don't know a lot about the spiritual side of some of the things that were said today, but I do know this much. If I forgive quickly, I can stay healthy. Pretty much I can stay healthy if I go ahead on to do it. If I agree with my adversary quickly, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to stay healthy. But if I harbor all of this silence in me, I'm going to be in trouble. Now, let me move on. The Jim Crow era was very significant. How did it affect me? My father was 5 years old. Can you imagine his mother going outside to Officer Berman and saying, "What's them pistol shots?" And he said, "Get on back in there, gal." That's what she said at the trial. Told her, "Get on back in the house." So he heard that. Jenny heard that. Dad, he heard it. Now, he's moving on in his life. Follow along with me. He'd have been traumatized by the death of his father. Now he has 2 sons. He works for the government. He's been in the military. Okay? And all his roles seem to be lined up with success. But he goes to open up a business. He opens up a restaurant. So I asked my mother, why didn't the restaurant make it? He felt like he didn't have to be there to run it. We all know you have to be there to run it these days, you know. So Dad failed, as they would say. But it was a reason why. I had to learn that. It's a reason why. Well, he picks up alcoholism. And he drinks, and he drinks, and he drinks. Now I'm getting older. Now he didn't abandon my brother and I. So we don't have that identity. We can't tell you what Dad told us before he died, okay? We can't tell you what Granddaddy told us before he died. So we don't have those type of identity. So now I come back at 18 years old. My dad said, "Why don't you go to the Army?" So I go to the Army. And so when I get to the Army, I get shipped over to Germany. I'm going somewhere with this. And I stay almost 2 years in Germany. Beautiful life, enjoying myself, still having my issues, identity. Okay? So before I went to Germany and before I finished AIT, my dad died. He died of alcoholism. So what's taking place here is things starting to mess with me. I'm starting to go through, but I don't know why I'm going through. I'm starting to face off with, life as it is. I try to go through the success of life, as they say. You finish college, I finished college. You get a trade, I got a trade. You go on to open up your own business, I go on to open up my own business. But something is always there. Something is always there. Something that seems crazy, is uneasy all the time. But as time goes on, this young lady, I'm leading to this young lady, calls me. And now my world opens back up. It's like I'm given a second life. But as I tell my family, if they would have met us during the Afrocentric period, we probably wouldn't have been able to handle this at 58 and 59. We probably wouldn't have been able to handle it because we still had our energy. We would still be radicals. We was doing the political movements, the activist movement. We were out there, not realizing that it was already in us. Mm-hmm. But when I tell you all that the Jim Crow era is in the institutions of America, live and kicking it, I mean it. Because nothing I've saw have shown me anything different than the way they took out my grandfather Philip. Now, Grandfather Philip served in the 638th Infantry Regiment, the 92nd Division of the United States Army in Germany. Remember, I went to Germany. The terrain was so bad, okay? That regiment got blamed for everything, okay? They wouldn't even let them fight along the white soldiers, okay? They fought with the French, okay? Now, when they fought with the French, they were the longest combat units to stay at war in World War I. Now, you tell me, have America changed? Why? Why did I say that? It have not changed. When Desert Storm got started, the soldiers in the South were the primary people to get deployed back to those deserts. But the ones in the Northeast and the Northwest and all of that, they were not touched, barely being deployed. How did we end that first war? A gentleman by the name of General Colin Powell said it's unfair, discriminatory, pull them Southern guys back out of there. But he and Dick Cheney would soon have it off, and they would send them back. And at that time, My 20 years came, and I knew it. I saw the war room coming, and just so happened I became an officer, and I left the United States Army. Nothing has changed, okay? Nothing. Because the institution promotes the Jim Crow. That was just the worst period, okay? It was the worst, okay? Now, dealing with it from a generational perspective, it was the worst as it leads here now, okay? So what am I saying? We, as the people, must continue to say their name. Don't let no loved one go unnoticed. Treat it like it's the Holocaust, because that's what it is. Let America know we will not sit idly quiet and allow you to do this to our people. If you get an opportunity to make it to that courthouse to get justice, go right ahead, full speed ahead. But don't stop. We could never stop. I'm a soldier, and I know this fact right here. If they take me out today, they're not going to bury my records. They didn't bury Philip Hatton's record, okay? That's the reason they were able to get it. But some of our other people won't be fortunate. They'll try to erase them off history. So, generational curse is real. That's the reason you are going to be constantly staying in deliverance. I am constantly writing gratitude, journaling. I am constantly ministering to my grandchildren. And I just got a daughter-in-law. She just had a child. I said, you married into this family. I got to tell you the truth. This is what has taken place. Okay? I'm leaving you and my son responsible for telling my grandbaby the story and repeat it as to what took place. I can remember sitting in those college classrooms with African Americans and some when we're debating on whether things gonna change, whether things gonna get better. They haven't much. I was in segregated army in the 1980s and 90s where we had all black engineers and we were out in the field. I cooked in those fields. I was in those terrains. I know what granddaddy went through. And it wasn't nice. And they never recognized them. People, I don't care where you're from, when we go through this type of humility in our family and we have to go through grief, we gotta keep talking. We gotta keep sharing. We gotta keep uplifting each other. You know, I don't know about y'all, but grief don't have a certain time or morning to get at me or a day. Okay? It just happens. Granddaddy comes on my mind, it just happens. Okay, my dad come on my mind, it just happens. Okay? I can almost feel some of the pain and hurt that, you know, people face that have lost their children. Because I'm going through it. When I think about all the stuff that I've done wrong or didn't make good decisions based on I just didn't know me. And just like my niece said, hey, Dad just having the best time of his life. This is what it brought to us. It brought deliverance. But the Jim Crow era, hey y'all, we got to get real. These institutions and you know, I can't say what Uncle James wrote to the President Roosevelt, and I'm gonna tell you what he said. He said, "My dear Mr. President Roosevelt, I can't call Trump dear. Okay, I can't say my dear Mr. President Trump." And when he wrote that letter to get justice and get help for my grandmother and those 3 children. And he told the president, I know you'll do what's right, Mr. President. It's just dirty what they did to my brother. Okay? See, you got to remember, ain't much change. I don't let them fool me. I don't let them get away with that. My sister, she has lost 2 children out here in this violence. And now you think I'm gonna sit here and wait on the police to just keep the detective to do all the investigation? No, they don't. No, they don't get down like that. And it's still a political machine in this city.
That's right.
It's still a political machine. So if they don't like it, it's on them. They let them go change the system they created. The mayor, the only thing different between the mayor Young and Mayor Crump now is Crump had total power, total influence. He ran the political scene and he ran the liquor scene. It's public record. You can go look at it. So I want to encourage everyone to stay delivered, to find yourself, to stay. We can't erase what happened, but we can sure work on ourselves each day to make it through.
That's right.
And that's what I believe having a strong spiritual life is all about. When Moses asked God, he said, "Who shall I say send me?" He said, "I am." When you wake up in the morning and you're saying, "I am having a great day. Right. I am going to make it through this day. I am blessed." That's where the power is starting to come from, because you identify, I am.
That's right.
I am.
I love it. So, you guys, those are affirmations. I'm big on affirmations. I wake up. It's a song that was by Jewel back in the day, and it's like I'm a bitch, I'm a dun, and it be hyping me up. So yeah. I didn't even realize I was listening to affirmations. I didn't know what they were back then, and now I appreciate them, because I also want to challenge you guys. A lot of times y'all will see me wear camouflage, right? I wear a lot of army stuff. And the reason why I do that is because I feel like anytime I go out, I'm on a mission. And I know that when I go out there for whatever, you could call it cheesy if you want to. I don't care. I be in my own little world.
I'm smiling because I got it on right now. Okay,
I'm real cheesy, and everybody know that get me through my little day. But I wear a lot of camouflage because I feel like I was put on a mission and I have to complete it.
Yes.
When you are in the Army, you have a goal, you have a mission, and it don't matter what happens to you out there. Somebody got to complete this mission, or ain't nobody coming home. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it is what it is. So I challenge everybody to use whatever tools you have. It may not be wearing camouflage like me. That's what gets me going. And that's what helps me stay focused. Whatever is going to help you, whatever tools you have around you that's going to keep you grounded, that's going to keep you pushing, use them. Because we are at war. We're just not at war with the government. We are in a spiritual war, and it's been going on for a very long time. It is time that we break generational curses, but it's going to take all of us to do it. It's not going to be an overnight thing. We may not even see it in our generation. But at this point, we can't lose any more people to police brutality. We can't lose any more people to gun violence. We can't lose any more people to medical malpractice. We can't lose any more people to pedestrian fatalities. We have to take the accountability within ourselves to get out here and patrol our own streets. That means whatever that looks like for your community, that's what you need to do. If it is to say, hey, talk to your neighbors so that y'all have a curfew for your children at a certain time, y'all start in your community. It has to start somewhere. You can't expect this to change the world overnight. This didn't happen overnight.
That's right.
So start in your community to expect and demand a change. When you have politicians in your area that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then send them emails. Hey, we ain't putting you back in office no more. We don't want you. Go to another neighborhood. Go to somewhere else. You're not a good fit. It's okay to say you're not a good fit. And that's for anybody that has authority. It is your police forces, it's your teachers, it's whoever that is not good for your community. And that's where your community meetings are, where you have to come together and say, what does it look like? What do we want for our community? And that's how we're going to save one life at a time. We're going to work on the small areas, and then we'll see those changes start happening, because we did it small and then it just started. It's going to be contagious. Because
Amen.
one person will see this place will see a change, and then this place is changing. But start small, start locally. We always want to run to the White House. We always want to run to the big, to the big places, but we ain't worried about what's happening locally. You could change qualified, you could change qualified immunity, excessive force, and all those things in your own community.
Amen.
It does not have to necessarily be straight federal. You can do it on your local level. So those are the things you have to think. Think locally. It means the most. Remember, your president and a lot of people that are up in those higher areas, they are puppets. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So it's not going to look like what we want because they're told what they are supposed to do. And that's what it looks like. But if you do it in your local area and say, hey, I don't want this for my area. This doesn't work for our kids. We want the funding to go to more recreational things for our children because we see a rise in gun violence, or we see a rise in the kids being out past a certain time because they saying they don't have nothing to do. So let's reroute some funds to another area.
Right.
Start local. Start local. I challenge you all to use what you have. Use your voice. Nobody can shut you up. So we're getting ready to wrap this up. But before we wrap it up, we're going to talk to Miss Harriet. And Miss Harriet is going to go over grief. And she's also going to tell us a little bit about her son and herself. So let's go ahead.
Amen.
Miss Harriet, you still on mute?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm just going to take a deep breath, a cleansing breath after hearing such poignant stories from Cindy and TR and Raven and Pastor Solomon and Ashley, untiring shared grief. Wow. I've been a registered nurse for 43 years. I always tell people that. And I've worked over 35 years in addictive diseases and behavioral health, mental health. There is nothing professionally could have prepared me for being on this platform tonight. Didn't plan to be here. Never wanted to be here. Had heard countless stories, read countless stories. But I knew that I lived in the America. The America, of which there are two. And I knew some of my history and my family, and I knew what coming from South Georgia was like for my grandmother. And they told us stories from one side of the Americas. I'm pretty smart, so as I worked as the assistant director of behavioral health and mental health disease and addictive diseases for the largest county in the state of Georgia, Fulton County. And I say I worked as the assistant director of nursing, and that's because they did not hire a director of nursing. I did both jobs. I helped Fulton County's court system set up the first substance abuse recovery program to keep from traumatizing persons by putting them in jail. The recidivism was so high that we set up the first juvenile justice department for alcohol and substance abuse program. And I was the director of that program. I was the director of nursing for that program. One of the things I discovered in that program was, I have mentally ill children. And there's something called the GCIC.
Yeah.
And that is a connectedness that lets all of the state see who's coming through, who may have mental issues, who may have substance abuse issues. I made sure as soon as my amazing son developed schizophrenia at age 25, that he was in that system. And it required me having to call the police on my child. Let me give you just a little backstory on Brett. Brett is the center of 3 adopted children. I adopted 3 little abandoned babies from when they called it the crack generation. I found them abandoned in the hospital, and as a nurse and healer and caretaker and missionary, I brought all of them home as they were born and abandoned. And I gave them a home, and I taught them about Jesus, and I taught them about stop for the police. I did all of that as both a nurse, Black mother, mother of Black boys. They knew it. Brett, by age 13, we discovered from his birth family that he had a phenomenal ability to cook. And he started chefing at 13. This young man went on to be selected by Rachel Ray as one of the top 5 teen chefs in the United States. He then went to New York City and cooked a weekend with Michael Simon and was involved in the weekend fundraiser for Rachel Ray's fund nonprofit, in which Bill Clinton, Joy Behar, Larry King, Mario Batali, just a whole slew of them, told me what a wonderful son I had. Where Bill Clinton said, if you ever need anything, call me. Here's my card. Mario Batali got up and gave me his seat and said, your son is phenomenal. Rachel Ray had to select one of the 5 children to go on Good Morning America with her. She chose Brett. He worked at the top 5-star restaurants in Atlanta, highly sought after culinary school. But by age 25, he developed schizophrenia, became very paranoid of the police, very, very paranoid of Black men, made some bad choices. Fast forward one of those bad choices. He went on, he stopped chefing, and he went on to the Goodwill, and he said, I'm still going to be my best. Just like Dr. Martin Luther King. He took the Goodwill program, and he had Emory University and Georgia Tech vying financially, trying to get him to be a floor buffer. That's the skill he learned. He took the Georgia Tech offer because he always loved teching and games and that type of stuff. And he said, one day I want to be a gamer. Fast forward, he's on medication. I'm talking to him. We're engaged. He gets a car. He moves out of his apartment. He's in mental health services, and he stops taking his medicine because he's doing okay in his head. Somehow he got lost up in the mountains, coming out of Tennessee, lost. Police officer saw him speeding back into South, coming into Georgia. Asked him to stop. He didn't stop. He chased my son in the 3 o'clock in the morning in the North Mountains of North Georgia. He didn't read the GCIC. He didn't stop to find out. But he stood over a Black man with a DeKalb County. Just as you say, Tiara, they know our zip codes. They know our area codes. They know where we come from. He was behind him. He knew he came out of Metro Atlanta. And as my son is behaving erratically and busting out a window and the car is on fire, he stands over a Black young man with a gun and says, stop. Wrap your head around that. Stop. We've been told to not stop. Stop. He doesn't comprehend it. He lunges at the police with a 3-inch knife. And a fatal, I don't know if it was fatal, but a shot was fired. The officer walked away and stated in his statement, I started CPR at 2.5 minutes. And I say this every time I talk. I want you to start counting from 1 to get to 150. That's how long 2.5 minutes are. You did not perform any assistance to a shoulder wound for 150 seconds. You did not try to tase him. You shot him and let him lay in the cold in the mountains all alone for 150 seconds. Count. I count every day. And that's where I'm going to come back. It was considered in Georgia a justified homicide. How many other families grieve my way with justified homicides in the United States? It's the same grief that George Floyd's family faced, that Ashley is going through, that Raven's family is going through, that your father, your great-grandfather went through. It's the same type of pain. And all I'll say, Cindy, is it hurts. It's unbearable. And I thank God for a safe space, a safe place where we can all come, especially during Mental Health Month, and say their names. I thank Ashley every time I talk to her, because Ashley gave me the platform for the first time in 7 years. I got to say my son's name last Juneteenth, because so many are being killed, but there is no a public display of anger and cry, because it's justified. And that's the journey I am on. We all in here may be broken, but we're still becoming. We all may have moments of silence, but we must keep speaking. Because grief, especially when tied into violence, trauma, and public injustice, needs a safe space, a healing space, and a truth-telling space. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
So for parents, caregivers, and families, I say we must speak that truth, but it must be done in love. Children and teens is our topic tonight, because they grieve deeply also.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't have the words. If you're the mother in the home, the father in the home, aunt, uncles, grandparents, because our families family differently. If you're stepping in their presence to help out, tell them the truth. Let it be gentle, but tell them something sad happened. Tell them they were either hurt, harmed, or killed by another person. And if it's a police officer, it's okay to say by a police officer, and it's okay to say, I don't have all the facts. But we're going to start by telling the truth. Be it in 1939, be it in 2039. It's the same behavior and the same trauma. And if you're a parent who's grieving yourself, I just want to stop here and say, you don't have to be strong all the time.
That's right.
Children benefit from seeing real emotions by the men and the women.
That's right.
Because it equips them with reassurance versus then silence, wrapped in pain, as I heard Pastor talk about how his father buried his pain with alcoholism and left 2 more sons and 4 more generations with unfinished business. As a health and wellness coach and nurse, I say, absent parents, you still matter. All families are different. And if you are that absent parent or sibling or caregiver, let your children know. Send them a letter. Give them a call. DM them. Text them. FaceTime them. But stay engaged as they grieve. Because grieving is not black and white. I could sit here all night and I could do a 2-hour lecture on Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who gave us the 5, now 6 stages of grief. And I could do another whole lecture on Erik Erikson, the German psychiatrist and psychologist who came up with the normal stages of development for every age group. But that's for coaching and therapy. But what I need you all to hear is that collaboration is necessary. And it begins in community. Places like churches. Churches establish your grief ministries. School counselors identify and offer services. Community mental health centers. Be available.
That's right.
Be open. Have a sliding scale payment plan for those who are not on Medicaid, but they can't afford to come see you. And coaches like myself and my new and evolving journey called my favored journey, as in favored by the Lord. Because we can all be the ones that give children a safe place to talk, young adults a safe place to talk, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, a safe place to talk, instead of like grandma and grandpa was told, shh, we don't talk about that. That's a taboo. That's where the generational trauma continues to reinvent itself.
That's right.
And we need our neighborhoods to gather and not gossip. When somebody's son has been killed and it was justified, therefore they must be this bad person. Brett was not a bad person. A bad choice, but not a bad person. And so many in the metro Atlanta and across this country are grieving, but they don't get to come into a forum because they live instead with guilt, shame, and embarrassment, and gossiped about.
That's right.
We've got to stop. We've got to embrace all grieving families.
That's right. That's right.
All families deserve a safe platform to come and talk. And lastly, I want to say is that healthy grief communities eliminates and minimizes unhealthy grief responses that we see showing up so much in our community. It shows up as silence. It shows up as aggression. It shows up in substance use and abuse. It shows up in isolation. It shows up in shame. It shows up in pretending everything's fine on the front line. And then you go inside and you drink and you drug yourself to sleep. Before I end, I just want to say, how do we help each other? We have to understand that grief is not just physical. It is physical, emotional, and spiritual. Physically, it shows up in sleep issues. It shows up in eating disorders. It shows up in the I call them the alphabet soup of medical disorders: CAD, HTN, DM for diabetes, coronary artery disease, hypertension, congestive heart failure, and COPD. It shows up in all of our physical ailments. It shows up emotionally through the things I described, the addiction, the kids out on the street at 8 p.m. jacking people and breaking in cars and stealing guns and weaponizing themselves because they don't have the ability to cope with stress.
Yep.
And it shows up spiritually by either a denial of God, cursing God, or refusing to engage with anybody that believes in a God. We need all of that to exist and be our whole selves. And so I want to say to you, my favorite journey is a place you can come. Look in your community, find your safe place. Find your support systems. And know, just like I am a registered nurse and a health and wellness coach, there are many out there. Seek help based on the needs of your child, family members, and yourself. But whatever you do, get some help. God bless and thank you for doing
Yes.
that. Thank you. Thank you.
That was amazing. I ain't even ask no questions. I ain't even got no questions. But what I do want to say, y'all, we have to tell our children we love them more.
Amen.
Because a lot of times they feel like we're disappointed when they don't do certain things, and that's where communication is really, really important with your children. We have to build better relationships with our kids so they can understand that, like somebody said, we have to normalize grief. It is a normal process that happens that we cannot control. We don't know when someone's expiration date, and at some point, we're gonna go through it. So we have to have those conversations, be open enough to have those conversations, and comfortable enough to have those conversations. And it start with you. It start with yourself. So you have to understand what grief looks like. Like every household would be different on how they may cope with it. But talk to your kids. They stress. You got social media. You got a lot of stuff going on. I looked at social media and I'm just like, we didn't do all this. So they stressed out. Like, I don't even know what be in their brains at this point from the stuff that I'm seeing on social media. I feel like I don't know. They stress me out just looking at what they be looking at. So
Miss Ashley, real quick, I have taken the whole year off socials. It's the only reason I'm on Facebook right now. I can't do it.
It's too much. It's too much. I remember we had chat in dial-up, so we didn't even have all the fast stuff. And I mean, stuff just be coming at me. I'm still trying to figure out social media and how to work it. I get told all the time I ain't doing something right, and I'm like, well, dog, I don't have Facebook for about 2 years now. You would have thought you would have to keep telling me to do something. But yeah, y'all, they're stressed. And we have to talk to them, and we have to take that in consideration. And you have to remember too, you were young at some points in your life, and there pretty much is a lot of the things they've done. Somebody has done. I ain't gonna say everybody, but somebody in your family has done something. So it's not like they're doing anything foreign. It's just that from back in the day, we sat at the table and ate dinner. It wasn't no cell phones. You couldn't take no cell phones. You better eat all your food. I remember we couldn't get up from the table if we didn't eat all our food. I remember dumping it. I got this little trick from my cousin. We dumped it in a paper towel and we threw it under the table to make it look like all our food was gone so we can get up. So those are the things that we have to bring back because it worked.
Right.
Like, you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. We don't have to keep. It's not rocket science to this. These are not. These are kids. It's the same situation that our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents, everybody has experienced with their children. Take the time to spend time with your kids. Tell them you love them. Tell them it's okay to cry. We have to normalize being able to cry. We tell all the time, oh, you a guy, a boy, you a man up, don't cry. And now we have these unresolved issues of these men, and we don't know what to do with them as spouses because we have done this to them. Stop.
Yeah.
So Harry, you want to say something before we wrap it up?
I want to add one other thing is that part of the collaborations, I missed the pivotal piece, the centerpiece is that we've got to collaborate with our elected officials, our politicians, and our police departments. Because we've got to get all of this money that I watched it get diverted from departments of mental health services within our states, and it was changed over to Department of Justice and Department of Juvenile Justice. Let's get the money sent back over so they can get coaching at an early age. They can get therapy. They can get play therapy. They can get age appropriate services and treatments instead of this pipeline we have from special ed to our community jails and then prison. Let's legislate. Let's get our politicians to legislate to get the dollars for mental health services back into our communities.
I agree. I definitely agree with that because there's a lot of people struggling, and it's okay to say that you need help, you guys. Because I see 3 therapists. I tell people that all the time. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but I see 3 therapists, and I love all 3 of mine. Like, They give me life. I deal with my mind, body, and soul. And it takes all that to be able to function in society with all the stuff
Yeah.
we have going on. So
Yes.
it's okay to say you need some help. It's okay. Do not be embarrassed if you notice something off with your children. And the
That's
only
right.
way to know that is you have to pay attention to them so
Yeah.
that you can get them that early help so that they don't have issues as an adult. It gets harder and harder with the more stress that is being put on them because they don't have the coping skills that they needed to learn as a child. It's okay. Do not be embarrassed. Everybody is struggling with something. With something. It could be mental, it could be emotionally, it could be spiritually. It doesn't matter. We're all struggling with something. Nobody is perfect. We all can use help somewhere. Don't be embarrassed. But if you need help, get help. All right, so let's wrap it up. Before we get up out of here, and before Pastor Solomon closes out with the prayer, we do have some things going on. We have Juneteenth, and I say in honor of Philip Hatley.
All righty.
That is in Memphis on Saturday, June 21st. I gotta
Yes.
get it right.
21st.
21st, and it's at the
Harriet Performing Arts Center.
There we go. So that's in Memphis. So if you
That's
are in
Revelation.
Memphis,
My name is
huh?
Harriet, and my birthday is June 21st. That's Revelation.
Oh, so we finna go.
Wow.
Okay, so we finna go play the lottery at this point because I think we're about to be rich.
Oh, wow.
So, and we can all use them dollars, them funds. Okay, so yeah, we definitely gonna
Amen.
figure them numbers out and go play them for tomorrow because tonight's over with. But yes, so if you're in the Memphis area, please come out to the Juneteenth event. We will have Say Their Name Monuments there. It's from one. What time does it start?
It starts at 10 a.m. and it ends at 1 p.m.
Okay, so from 10 to 1, if you're in the Memphis area, please come out. It's when I say it's a whole situation, y'all, it's a whole situation. Tierra has been putting a lot of work into this event, and I mean, it's a situation, so you don't want to miss it. Tierra, do you want to let them know anything before I say the next thing?
For sure. What I'm holding right now is a zine. This is free. So we do have a flyer and we have an Eventbrite. We have all the information. I'll put it in the comment section as you're wrapping up everything else. So you can download this for free. And so it's a pamphlet. You flip through. It gives information about my great grandfather. And then it also gives you the references for everyone who's been involved. So I actually went to the Black Lives Matter Grassroots Memphis launch. They launched the actual Memphis location and work here in the city. And so my family went to the launch and I performed my poem there, and I will be re-reciting my poem at this event as well. So I'm excited about that. And I also followed in my great uncle's footsteps, and I did send a letter to the president. Do I expect much? I don't expect much.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. We don't know. He may pull up with them black trucks. We don't know. We'll see. We will see. Cause we know he gonna shut the street down because he's scary. So he's gonna shut it all down when he come through there.
That involvement, that involvement that Miss Harriet was talking about, getting we do reach out to the local politicians as well. I've already reached out to the mayor, so it's like we're already on the local level, and then we're also I hit the federal level. I'm like, I don't care because it's like this is crazy. And also Miss Harriet being born on the 21st, that's the type of spiritual stuff I'll be talking about. It's like only God could have put that together because no one knew that.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we also have Juneteenth in Atlanta. That will be June 14th and 15th. That's the Juneteenth Atlanta Parade and Music Fest. It will be at Piedmont Park. We will have the Say Their Name Monuments there, and it's going to be a really huge display. You guys, you do not want to miss out. The parade will start on the 14th, and it starts at noon near the King Center, and we will walk all the way or ride to Piedmont Park. We also have partnered up with Apex Museum. Very excited about that. So the monuments will be going into one of the oldest Black museums here in Atlanta. And so that exhibit will be from the 16th through the 30th. And then we'll have a panel discussion at the Apex Museum. So this is in person. It will be at 6 o'clock on Thursday, June the 27th. And it will be taped live on Roku TV. So that's really
Wow.
exciting. So if you guys can come out and enjoy yourself, they'll have like drinks and hors d'oeuvres, and then the actual panel will start at 7 o'clock. Let's see, what else do we have? We have a Rolo Day that's coming up Saturday, June 21st. That's public. We have not released the details about that, but that is remembering our loved ones. One of the organizations is actually in charge of that. Then we have the Impacted Families Media Experience Survey. If you've been mistreated, ignored, blackballed by the media, please fill that survey out. We want to hear you. We want to know what's happening, because for us to make a change, we got to get people to listen to us, right? So for next week, one of the things that we'll be talking about is media trauma. So I invite everybody to come back to that, because we will have a reporter that will be one of the speakers for that episode of next week. We also have the petition Reinstate the National Police Misconduct Database. So what this is when President Trump got into office, they decided that they wanted to cut out this database that they have been running since President Obama. And it was supposed to collect all of the police department's information, and for the officers that actually were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. Well, there were only 4,000 names, I think 4,011, if I'm remembering correctly, that officers that were in this database from 2000, I think 14 or 15 to 2024. So we know that there should be more cases or more officers that's in that database. So the departments weren't actually reporting. And that's a problem, because now we have officers there. They go from department to department because they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing, and there's no tracking. Well, we need that tracking back. That's very important, because everybody don't need to be a police officer. We want the ones that really want to be there, that's actually going to do the work. And so if we can get you guys to sign this petition to get this database to come back, that'll be great. If you have not purchased your Say Their Name tribute book, please go get a copy. The new one we will start working on very soon. I'll start putting out the information next month about it. And so, you guys, I don't know who all has passed. So if you do not go to www.SayTheirNamesMonuments.com and register, your loved one will not make the book. They will not make the calendar. There are a lot of names. I'm not trying to be funny if I don't put somebody in there. I just don't know everybody who's passed. Okay. Let's see what else. So that's the calendar. If you haven't got the calendar, please go get it, because in a minute we're going to take these 2025s out, and we're working on 2026. We have the virtual exhibit. It has over 280 names in this exhibit. So if you have not checked it out yet, please go check it out. If you want your loved one to be in there, please go register to www.SayTheirNamesMonuments.com, and we will include your loved one in the virtual exhibit. And that is it. So we're going to go to Pastor Solomon, and he's going to wrap it up and pray us out of here.
All righty. Well, we just thank God for this moment in time. Amen. Father God, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy, Lord God. We thank you that every voice that was heard is touching someone in the atmosphere, Lord God, through the media. And Father God, we just give you the honor and the glory for just allowing us to come and share our experiences and share our grief and concerns, Father God. I thank you for the knowledge, Lord God, for all knowledge is yours, Father God. And I just give you the honor and the glory for it. Touch everyone's life, Lord God. Touch their heart, touch their mind and their bodies. As we leave each other, Lord God, I ask you to just protect and anoint right now. In the name of Jesus, amen and amen.
Amen. So we want to thank all of our speakers. We want to thank everybody that joined us tonight. And we will see you next Friday at 7 p.m. for the last mental health town hall for the month of May.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.